Joining us now is Congressman Buddy Carter. He's a member of the GOP Doctors Caucus and House Energy as well. It's great to see you, Congressman. Okay, respected science writer for the New York Times, Nicholas Wade, he makes a convincing case that, yeah, the coronavirus did, in fact, leak from that mismanaged lab in Wuhan, China. What was your reaction to that?
Well, certainly there is evidence that shows that, initially we thought that it was coming from the wet market. However, as the investigation has continued on, we know that earliest viruses didn't come from the market. Therefore, you have to look at other sources. And certainly this is confusing. There are those who truly believe that there's enormous evidence that it originated from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And certainly that's important. And it's important to note also that an intermediary animal host has not been identified yet. And that would lead you to believe, again, that it could have very possibly and probably come from the Institute itself.
You know, China also, to your point, can't find the bats that were supposedly the source of this virus either. They can't find it. And reports that these Chinese scientists have been trying to, really do a big push on viruses that jump species from animals to humans. Mike Pompeo, writing in the Wall Street Journal, they've been trying to weaponize viruses. So this guy, Nicholas Wade, is saying there's no evidence that this virus exists naturally, organically in nature. Let's listen to what he says. Let's take a listen.
So if you grow up these viruses in humanized mice and they escape, well, of course, they're going to be very good at attacking human cells. That's one big indication that a virus may have been manipulated. Another, of course, is the very obvious common sense one. It broke out in Wuhan. The pandemic broke out in Wuhan, which is the home of China's leading lab looking into this type of virus.
So let me just encapsulate what he just said. He's saying that they were working on viruses with mice to make them more infectious. And he's saying there's a reason it originated out of Wuhan, because Wuhan is where that lab is. I mean, if it originated in the wet market, he's saying, why haven't we heard, to your point, about earlier cases of the coronavirus linked to the wet market, right?
Exactly. And we do know that gain of function testing was going on in the Institute at that time. And that is, of course, where they're trying to identify how it spreads and how easily it could spread. Look, it remains to be determined whether or not it was released from the Institute or not. However, there are things that we do know for certain. We do know that China was lying. We do know that China was complicit. They were lying about the spread of the disease and complicit in letting it spread throughout the world, including to the United States. They gave us the virus and took our jobs. That's what they did. So they need to be held accountable. So regardless of whether it came from the wet market or whether it came from the Institute itself, and there is strong evidence it did come from the Institute, what needs to happen, and what we and the Republican members of the Energy and Commerce Committee have been calling for, is for the administration to release more information, and let's have some bipartisan hearing on this subject.
All right, Congressman Buddy Carter, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.